Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a new edition of our EKN Face2Face, number 42 in this series that we have here, of course, on the EKN Radio Network and here on the EKN YouTube channel. Of course, those of you potentially joining us as well on our Facebook page. My name is Rob Howden, joined by David Cole in Grand Rapids, Michigan. David, back at it once again. It's been a kind of an Olympic break for us, kind of being at home. We're getting ready to go back to the SCUSA Summer Nationals in about a week and a half. But today's show is going to be a good one. I had a chance to watch a bunch of it on Kart Chaser's coverage of the IAME USA Grand National Championship event at GoPro Motorplex this past weekend. Kind of a cool approach to things in terms of how they got to the main events, a couple of different layouts on the racetrack, a couple of shootouts for big money. All in all, David, for everything I'm hearing, a tremendous race, tremendous event.
Certainly, it was a major one-off. You know, we have a lot of these races that aren't part of a championship program. Yeah. This was typically that type of element. And as you said, had all different types of scenarios within the 4 days of competition that they had. And again, you had night racing, different configurations, and then you had extra money races on top of the money and prizes that they're already giving away for the all the 7 categories that they had competing there. It was certainly a different and unique event that IAME USA was able to put on together.
Yeah, and David, you and I talk a lot about these one-off events, right? How they kind of can have a different flavor, whether it's the Cup Karts North America Grand Nationals, Quincy in the Park, Rock Island, the Battle of the Brickyard at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Those kind of cool one-off events, I think, really add a lot of flavor to a racing season. Of course, we saw a lot of people step up. Now, to be honest, let's be real. The promoter, Eric Jones, didn't go whole hog trying to promote it because he wanted to have that initial race. Not too crazy in terms of numbers, but pretty good fields all in all, and really the cream of the crop as well. I think 166 total entries. Is that correct?
Yeah, 166 from the results we counted. Again, paddock space is limited, as we've seen with last year's USPKS finale in October there. They're starting to run out of space with the amount of competitors that were there, well over 200 there. And so, yeah, you start off at that 166, you kind of get a feel again for what you want to do and how you want to run things. And again, you don't want to overrun your staff and overrun just everybody. And you kind of want to keep that fun atmosphere that's going on that you want to produce for this type of one-off event.
Yeah, more racers equals more challenges, right? So you get that first one done, you get all your procedures in place, and I think obviously we saw how things rolled out. Just to kick off here as well, for this edition of Face to Face, if you have any questions for the guys we're bringing on, those joining us today, we've got Ryan Norberg, Pauly Massimino, Connor Zilisch, Carson Morgan, all coming to join us here as part of the broadcast. Feel free to post any questions you have in the commentary, whether you're listening in the chat, if you're on Facebook or on YouTube, it'll pop up for us. We'll try to bring some questions into the show if you have any. But David, let's look at the numbers. As you said, 15 drivers in micro, just 8 drivers in the X30 Masters class, 35 in KA 100 Junior, KA Senior 27, Mini 26, X30 Junior 28 and 27 in the X30 Pro class. So really across the board, nothing 40, but all that really nice kind of, high teens into the 20s, which makes for a really solid field.
And one of the key aspects was it brought a lot of the national teams to the event, but you also had local drivers because as we know, GoPro Motorplex has one of the largest club programs in the country. So you have club racers going up against the national drivers in a non-points event. So anything goes type atmosphere. And as you said, just 4 days of racing, because summertime's a great time to do that. Everybody's waiting for school to start up again, at least a lot of the kids or, this and that. But I love that type of atmosphere where, it's relaxed, but it's not, because people were intense there was a lot of money and a lot of prizes on the line.
Well, the cool thing is too, so we talked about 2 different venues or 2 different layouts on the racetrack. They did a couple different deals. They ran a national track and a new chicane course. So Thursday was 5 practice sessions. Everybody got a chance to run both of those tracks. But David, what I thought was really interesting, then they have the tuner challenge race, similar to what we did with the Machismo 500 guys at the Supernats about 10-something years ago. Give the tuners a chance to go head-to-head. And I watched some of that. That was probably most of the carnage all weekend, but it certainly set the tone, right?
It did kind of set the tone for the type of racing you were going to see, but it wasn't as crazy as what some people were thinking it was going to be. It could have gotten a lot worse. But I think, guys use their bumper wisely, as you should when karts are surrounded with a bumper. So it was fun to kind of watch that and see drivers we've seen race, and drivers that are even currently racing, like a Jake French or others getting back. AJ Myers, I think, was in it as well too, or drivers like that getting behind the wheel of rental carts, the CRG rental carts that they have there, and it was kind of fun to see that. And I'm glad they did a lightweight and a heavyweight class, because some of us are a little weight challenged, and we can't, we're not like a Mike Geeson or Artie Carpenter, and we're still in racing shape.
Let's give you the layout too, folks. So Friday they had warm-up qualifying, the opening heat on the national track, and of course one of the exciting parts, the CNC Performance Engineering KA100 Shootout, 13 drivers in total. And David, what I loved was kind of a different way to set those 13, right? Not just, hey, your top 13 guys in qualifying or wherever they run, top 8 from qualifying, the 2 fastest drivers from heat 1, 2 random draws, and 1 promoter pick. I thought that was kind of a cool way to set up for these big money races in terms of the shootouts.
Yeah, because then it doesn't completely rely on how you did in qualifying. Somebody might have had a bad qualifying session, so you had another way to get in, be it through one of the fast laps in the heat or a random draw, and then the promoter pick. That's obviously a wild card, and it was even different for the X30 shootout too as well.
Yeah, exactly. So Saturday was the X30 shootout. Warm up, heat 2 and heat 3 on the chicane course. The MG Tires X30 shootout, 13 drivers there. David, top 8 again after the heat races. 2 random draw, 1 will power pick and 1 promoter pick and 1 fan vote pick, which was pretty cool. I think Weston Workman got that. Something like 400 votes for Weston to be getting the fan vote. Yeah,
that's when you get on social media, you get all your friends who aren't even involved in karting, and you just start hitting that, and you go that way. So yeah, that was a great, cool element. And again, it provides an opportunity for somebody who, again, just wasn't able to perform and get in the top 8, a chance to get in and try and go for the money. And Weston, if I recall, watching the challenger or the shootout, he was there on the last lap and was involved in a wreck there as they were going to the checker flag.
Yeah, indeed. So Sunday warm-up, pre-finals, of course, based on the heat races, and the main events set by the points from the heats and the minors, and the pre-mains, rather, all on the national track. Now, the guys we're going to bring into the studio here right now are the guys that actually were able to win on the day. We got shootout winners. We got main event winners. We'll bring them all in right now. Let's start rolling them in here, David. Connor Zilisch, Pauly Massimino, Ryan Norberg, and Carson Morgan. Guys, thank you so much for joining us here on EKN and our Face2Face show.
Yeah, thank you. Cool, thanks for having us.
So star-studded lineup here, Cole. We got some race winners here.
We got race winners, Super Nationals winners. We got Pro Tour champions, USPKS champions, a whole lot of hardware, as we see behind Pauly.
That's right. Pauly's lined it up because I win races, guys. Guys, let's go around the horn. We'll start with Connor. Let's just talk not about the racing, but just your overall first impressions of the event itself. What do you think, Connor? Let's start with you.
I've always liked the one final kind of layout where there's 3 heat races that lead up to one final. There's one winner, and the way they did the shootouts as well with the 13 drivers, the way they picked them, the way they ran the shootout, the way they streamed it, everything about it was just well run. And Eric did a great job putting this on and getting it promoted, and everyone that was there, had fun. Everyone I've talked to at least has said it was one of their most favorite events in the country, and some of the most fun they've had in a while. And that for sure applied to me as well.
I love that. Pauly, would you feel the same way? What was the atmosphere like at GoPro? Was it different than anything else you felt being there? I know you're a local guy there.
Yeah, it was definitely a cool event. Probably the most fun I've had in a while at a race. It was definitely everybody seemed so happy, and everybody was smiling to be there, and it was cool. It was cool to hang out and be there and race. Nobody was ever, they'd be mad in the heat of the moment, but then after, everybody's just still happy, and Kart Chaser did an amazing job. Eric did an amazing job. Everyone did an amazing job with the shootout, the layouts, everything. It was just awesome.
What an amazing thing, right? Having fun when you're at the kart track. David and I talk about that all the time. Hey, Ryan, let's talk to you about this. Obviously, over the years, you're a 4-time Superkarts USA champion. You've won almost every race there is to win here in American karting, and obviously one of the top drivers, the #1 rank for many, many, many years. Look at this event and your thoughts. Now, obviously, it's a great event. Talk about that, but how important was it for you coming into this race to be able to find some success? Big money up for grabs. You're going to win $7,000 for winning that race. But coming in, was there pressure on you, or was the unique, approach made it more fun? I think, you know what I'm saying?
Well, the event itself was really well run, and I think there was quite a bit of skepticism, going into it with a lot of the ideas that they had, running the different layouts in the middle of the week, the limited practice. I know there was a lot of guys that I heard that were like, oh, like this is going to be, one of those races. And it ended up turning out just fine. I think the different layouts ended up being quite a cool addition to the weekend. And then, different layouts in practice ended up not being like as bad as we thought it would be. Everybody thought it was going to be like, oh, wow, we got to have two different setups. Ended up being pretty similar setups. And so it ended up being, pretty well run. And then on the side of this being, just a race that you want to win, obviously, I mean, the money helps a lot, and that put a lot of pressure on it. But the lineup that they had for announcers and people that were showing up to the race, I think added a bit of pressure as well. I mean, you had Willpower, you had NASCAR drivers there. I mean, there's everybody there, so you don't know who's actually going to be at the event. And so obviously that's a lot of pressure. And then something about the show that Kart Chaser put on, you want to be able to go back and watch yourself win.
Yeah.
And so, let's shoot out. I crashed with Connor. It was not fun to have to go back and watch myself take Connor out of a race. And so, yeah, you don't want to do that and have a bunch of people see it and be able to rewatch it over and over and over again. So, yeah, there's a little bit of pressure on that. Just wanting to be able to watch yourself win the race it's important.
Yeah, I bet. All right, Carson Morgan, let's come to you, man. Obviously, what a weekend. But first off, what a month, right? You come off a tremendous run up at Road America in the USPKS event. Talk about the momentum for you rolling into this race. Were you feeling the pressure coming in, or with that momentum and the confidence, was it just like another race? I'm going to go out there and do what I do.
Yeah, it was pretty much just another race because it was feeling really good, and it was like if you have the speed, it doesn't just go away, So I just focused the whole weekend, kept driving hard, and we ended up getting both of the wins. But I really like the track and everything, like Ryan and Pauly and Connor were saying. Everyone did a great job. It was super amazing. And it was a big experience for me. I've never done anything like that, just going into that two different tracks like that. And I really liked it. I thought it was fun because it was just like you really could see like consistent finishes, unlike Pro Tour, where it's only pre-final, where you still have to be smart in that. Yeah. But you had heats where you had to get good finishes that, place you for the pre-final on Sunday, and then the pre-final straight into the finals. So, yeah, it was a good weekend, and that's pretty much what I could say. It was great.
I do have a question. You guys were talking about how everybody was happy and the atmosphere was kind of relaxed. Did it change, though, as you guys got closer to the final? Especially Ryan and Connor, you guys started on the front row next to each other. Did you kind of feel a different change in the vibe as you guys got closer to the final and you guys realized, hey, we're starting on the front row for this race?
I for sure did. For sure, like during the mechanic stuff, I was over there with Xander helping announce and kind of on the mic, and it was fun. And then by the time Xander interviewed me before my final, I didn't want to say much. I was like very short. I was like, oh yeah, it's going to be good. And then the pressure was definitely on. You're the show, so everybody's watching the senior final. So there's a little bit of added pressure to that as, the whole week builds up to your race. And so it better be good and you better perform. And so, yeah, the whole week is fun up until the end where the pressure does start to mount up.
And Connor, to you were at the FIA Academy Trophy last year. So you kind of had that atmosphere of being on television and being almost like the main event. Next to the KZ and KZ2 programs as well. But, there's a lot of focus on the Academy Trophy. Did it kind of feel like that with the television coverage that was going on throughout the weekend?
Yeah, there's something about racing at night that when we were racing at night, something about it just adds pressure and intensity. And that's something I didn't really feel at Academy. But during the day, when you're being watched by more than the people that are just at the track, it definitely adds a pressure that wasn't there before. But it's not like a pressure that makes me not want to race. It makes me want to win even more, just to make my name. I put my name out there to the people that aren't exactly. The same group of people follows each karting race. So being able to get your name out there to the people that don't go to every single karting race is always cool. And I think Kart Chaser did a great job doing that. And there was definitely when it came by Sunday final, same thing with what Ryan said about when they were interviewing me, I kind of just made it short. I wanted to focus because I mean $7,000 is a lot, but too bad that ended in the first corner. But it was still a ton of fun.
We'll get to that first. Connor, let's jump into the K100 shootout. What I loved about it was I think over the last couple of years we've seen how this KA category has exploded. Right, people are loving with the air cooled 100cc. They're racing so close. Really, it was on display, right? And of course, Kart Chase are doing the live coverage. We were watching. It just the amount of the people in the packs up front. The racing was so ludicrously close, bordering on pretty aggressive at times. I know we've talked about that before, but overall, how much fun did you have in those races? Because I'm telling you, man, it just looked like you guys were having a blast. Yeah,
the shootout was a ton of fun. I mean, it was win it or bin it kind of feeling in the final when it came around. It was just it added a new sense of pressure and intensity to all the other races. But I mean, yeah, when I won that, it felt better than almost any other win I'd won this. Any other win that I had this year. I mean, it was just it was just kind of different to be able to win that. I'm sure Pauly could say the same thing about his win.
Can we talk first, Connor, about your outside moves in the hole? What's that all about, dude? Yeah, you sent it in there a couple of times.
Yeah, no, I did that twice this weekend, but the outside move first came from Pauly in turn 1, and he did it to me in the shootout with 2 laps to go, and I knew after that I had to get him back somehow. So in the Sunday final on the last lap, I was able to get him back with that.
All right, Pauly, you were rocking in the X30 Pro class. Let's talk about that shootout, man. That's 5 Gs. The last couple of laps, I was literally on the edge of my seat watching it. What we would expect, right, in a big money X30 Pro race. Give me your thoughts on those last couple of laps, because it seems like you kind of had to play the strategy about where you wanted to be and what could happen.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, honestly, going into the final of the shootout, I didn't really think I was going to have a shot, but everything kind of just unfolded the way that it played out for me. And yeah, it definitely felt really, really good to come across that line first. Not only for myself, but for my dad and for Ryan. It felt good to get it done for them, more importantly than me. But no, it was super fun. It was cool driving through the crashes a little bit, but and somehow we walked away with it.
Let's where does the shootout rank for you in terms of races that you've won? The trophies like you have behind you there.
Probably, obviously, Supernat's always going to be on the top for me, but
yeah,
probably pretty close behind it.
I like it, Dave.
Ryan, the format of the shootouts, they weren't exactly just one race and go. You guys had heat races. What was kind of the atmosphere for that? Because it was kind of like you ran your heat race, you'd come off. Did you guys make changes? How much time did you guys have in between the races, both heat races and the main event for the shootout?
So the shootout was super interesting because it was almost like you ran a separate race day during the event. Because you did do 2 heat races and then a final. So it's almost like another full day of racing, just like a sprint style. And another interesting thing was, I don't know if you knew, but somebody donated like a bunch of money right before the race to have us switch the layout. And so we were going to go out on the standard layout. And it probably like 15 minutes before they switched the layout to a layout we haven't driven yet.
I didn't know that.
And so,
right?
Yeah. And so they gave us 2 warm-up laps to figure it out. And then it was just go for it. And so nobody really knew the gear. Nobody knew if this setup was something different or how to enter. Like we went into what is normally like the double right-hander, which is like second to last corner. But we're going into that, pretty fast now. And so the first lap, everybody's, blocking, but also trying to break deep and learn the racetrack. So that part of it was super interesting and kind of fun for the team because everybody's like, I don't know, slap a few teeth on it. Like, just send it. Like, let's see what goes. But yeah, we were making a few changes. I didn't really get to make any changes because I binned it in the second heat race. So I was changing the brake rotor that exploded.
What happened there? What happened there, by the way? It was aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, it is aggressive because there's only 10 laps and there's $500 to win a heat race. So it's like you've got to finish up front. And I knew Eves had finished 4th. And so if he won the heat race, he was going to start pole. And I won the previous one, so I was like, I got to finish better than 4th to start on the front row. And so I was like 5th. And so I was like, okay, let me pass here. And so I made the pass, and then the driver outbroke me and kind of pinched me down. And so I drove over the curb and just blew a rotor out. And then, yeah, obviously the final, I didn't really make any changes, just threw some water bottles on the tire and fixed the rotor. That took about all 10 minutes we had, and then went out there for that one.
There you go. There you go. So let's go over to Carson Morgan right now. Carson, obviously a solid group of drivers you're battling against. And I want to say, I think it was the KA100 category that was really, really close racing throughout the entire time. You were able to pull away. They started battling behind you in the X30 Junior, and you were able to stretch away. But let's talk about KA100 Junior first. I think at one point you were back to like 8th spot. What, did you just kind of settle in, or how'd things go with that race?
Well, which one are you talking about? In the final?
KA100, the final.
I led the whole race in the final.
Did you lead the whole race?
Yeah.
Man, dude, I watched all the races today. It's too much for me. Fill me in on KA100.
So we took the lead in the beginning. I started on pole, and then I kind of pulled away a little bit from Jeremy Fletcher. So it was half wet, half dry, so I kind of had to learn the line a little bit.
That's right. You guys got rain. That's right.
Yeah, Pauly told me the lines a little bit, so he helped me out there, and then I kind of just took it on myself. And then Fletcher was behind me, kind of following me, so, he could improve on where I was slower. And then halfway through, I think he passed me, and then I just passed him back. And then Misa came from a while back, like I think a couple seconds. And then he could not get by me on the last lap, and then it was pretty much that was it. I just defended on the last lap and won.
Give me the scoop on the traction level. You said when you went out there, it was because it was wet and drying to a certain. Was it fully wet for that session?
Corner 1 was almost dry line. I think it was dry line. Okay. And then the big right hander in the back, that was full throttle. And then the bull turn, you would just go wide to narrow. So that was rain line there.
Wow.
And then really the slipperiest part of the track was the quick left right. I think it's turn 4, turn 5. That was really tricky right there, hitting the curb or going wide. But I ended up just hitting the curb every lap, so it worked out. And then the hairpin was dry line halfway through the race, and then the double right was really slick, and then last corner was almost same as dry.
Yeah, that's a challenge for sure. Let's talk about X30 Junior there, because I just finished watching that one before we kind of came on here to get another look at it. That seemed to be like one of your typical races where you're able to get out front. You always like leading, right? You always want to get to the front. It's kind of pass or be pass kind of thing, and you're able to get to the front. And then they started racing behind you. Did you look behind, in turn 1 got crazy? You looked behind yourself and said, I got room and I'm done at that point?
When I had Zim and my mechanic on the fence. Zim usually tells me the gap I have. So I haven't really been looking back at all, except for 2 to go in the last lap. So I'm always all right, 3 fast kids behind me. We were kind of struggling on pace all week, but we finally found it in the last day. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to stay out front, put laps down, hopefully be able to break away if they catch up in battle. And then I think I went to the lead on 8 to go again after I think it was either Aiden. Who passed me? It was Aiden or
Ingrata was in there with you for sure.
Yeah, it was Ingrata. He passed me, and then I passed him back on lap 8 for 8 to go. And then I kind of started breaking away. And then I think Miles blocked on the replay I saw. And then, Zim was just telling me massive gap. And I just put 2 really good laps down. And then I think we had a 2.5 lead, and I just kept it on the track for there, and we just ended up winning it.
So talking about turn number 1, it is obviously one of the most treacherous opening corners in, I think, probably American karting, with the chicane after the right-hander. Ryan, you come to take him to the lead, obviously, coming down there for turn 1, and behind you, all hell breaks loose. Really, for you, exactly what you would have wanted to happen, right, going through turn number 1.
Yeah, it was one of the things that I was trying to do a different start than I normally do, because obviously, I always like to creep to the line.
You do.
And that's something that Pauly did all week, and it worked for him. But I was like, he's been doing it, so everybody knows what he's going to do. And Connor's been racing with Pauly all week, and he came out right on Pauly's bumper when he did it. And so I was like, okay, well, let's not do that. And so I kind of went a little faster than normal. And I don't know if that's what caused everybody to kind of bottle up into turn 1. But yeah, once I came out of 1, I looked back and I saw I had a second gap, and I knew that I had consistent enough speed to kind of just outpace people. And so Pauly, I think Eves got into second, and then I pulled about a little bit every lap. And then I know it's super frustrating, like unbelievably frustrating to chase somebody down when they just creep away. And then you can end up overeating your stuff. So I was like, when I saw Eves was back there, I pushed so hard those opening like laps just to kind of defeat him mentally so that he would know that like he's going to try. And then eventually he'll give up. And that's normally the goal, because Connor was doing that earlier this year. And eventually, I mean, after like 10 laps of chasing somebody and not being able to close it, you mentally can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
So I just was like, let's try and do that to them and just go until they can't physically push anymore. And then at that point, you just cruise to the end.
Yeah, that was something that Will Power was mentioning on the broadcast when he was announcing that race. It was like Ryan Norberg's going to make qualifying lap after lap after lap. So you're going to put down qualifiers back to back. What? Because I believe the tires were different throughout the weekend. Was it more than one set? Correct, if I recall.
Yeah, you get a new set you get 2 sets, so use them how you want.
Was it pretty much everybody saved them till the final, or was it the pre-final that everybody changed?
Yeah, well, because the field it wasn't super big. A lot of the faster drivers, like even myself, knew that if you started 8th or 9th, you could still race for the win. It was one of those things where the field was strong, but it wasn't super deep. So you could come through, and I think you saw Haynes came through the field pretty easy, and I think that's why. So obviously, as a race grows, that'll be a little bit more difficult, and I think you'll probably see some more strategy because people are going to need to move up in the pre-final. Another thing is the way they weighted the heats in the pre-final. It was 50% of your heat races, and then your total from the heat races counted as 50% of your starting position, and your pre-final counted as 50% of your starting position. So it was almost like another heat. So it's like, why would you put on new tires for another heat? So that was definitely something that, people are weighing the options in it. And, even if you win the pre-final, it doesn't mean you're starting on pole for the final. Yeah. So you didn't gain that much.
Connor and Pauly might be able to answer this the best because they're both from the GoPro Motorplex. Who is this Dalton kid? I mean, he was the quickest guy in qualifying, and nobody, at least I don't think I recall seeing his name ever on any of USPKS or SCUSA events. Who is this kid?
I'll let Pauly answer this one.
He's a local at GoPro. They don't get the chance to go everywhere like we do, just because unfortunately they don't have the budget that we have. But no, they've been putting in the work at GoPro and dialing in the Kart and getting ready for this race. And he definitely proved that he had the speed. Like at the club race the week before, I was shocked. He was fast. And I thought the win was his at the club for sure. And but then this weekend he still stepped it up and kept up his pace, and he was fast all weekend.
Well, in the final.
One thing I was going to say is that he did go purple in the final. He was quick. I would say that I think the inexperience is what kind of got to him because racing at the club level, because he was there the week before. Pauly and I, re-raced with them, and we didn't probably race as hard as we would at this weekend. And definitely the racing at the IAME Nationals was a lot more aggressive than most races we've ever been at. And so I think that probably caught him off guard, because there's a few times on the starts that he, like the first one, he kind of left the door open on Pauly. And everybody knows you don't leave the door open on Pauly because he's going to put it inside you. And so that caught him out. And then the second heat. Yeah, exactly. And so then the second heat, he was fast. He wasn't necessarily the quickest, but he tried to defend. I mean, you can't defend 8 of the best in the nation from being behind you for every lap. And so that kind of hurt him. And then I think the same thing in the end, he kind of got shuffled back early just because of the aggression that everybody had. And so I think that the inexperience kind of got to him. And starting at the back, he was able to, he had speed. So he was able to come through. Once he got out and got going, it was kind of, you were watching him. And he was actually, I was the one person I was watching on the racetrack, because I'd come out of the hairpin and he'd come down the left, and he was the only person that I could visibly see that was gaining on me. So I was just kind of watching him the whole time and seeing how far he was going to get up the leaders.
Well, the other cool factor is that a race like this, of its stature, the inaugural race for this Grand National Championship event for IAME, with Kart Chaser doing the live broadcast, obviously a lot of pressure put on him. He's on the pole. That's the one thing of, my God, I'm on the pole. with all these guys that I follow on eKarting News and whatever, because these are the best guys. These are the top guys in the rankings. That's going to be a lot of pressure on him for sure, but he'll definitely grow from it. Now, I kind of want to wrap kind of up with this because I want to kind of talk about this race and what its future is going to be like. Ryan, $7,000 in the main event, able to take on. What did you get in total? How much money in total did you have? You got the international
$7,500.
$7,500 cash. You got the ticket to the IAME International Finals. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on this race? To me, it seems like this is something we're going to see grow and grow over the next couple of years.
I for sure think it's going to grow. I think Eric was super happy with the results. The thing that I heard quite a bit and I felt was it's very like Supernats-esque. Like the atmosphere is very, that level. It's not necessarily super serious like you would get at like a world finals or something. Yeah. But it's very like, it's just a lot of stuff. It's like Lancaster where it's just like, it's a cool event and everybody's excited and it's really cool to just watch and everybody's there. So I hope it comes back on. Obviously I talked to Eric and he said he wants to do it. And like you guys said earlier, he wasn't pushing it necessarily. He didn't really want to have the same numbers as like a USPKS or a Supernats because he just wanted to keep it kind of smaller. And I think definitely if you get even more people involved, I think it would be crazy. I mean, the fence were already lined up. He'd probably have to bring a few grandstands in there to allow everybody a spot to watch.
All right, Massimino, $8,500, dude. That's a solid payday. Congratulations on that. What are your thoughts on this event moving forward? It's in your backyard. You got to like to have that little advantage, making some cash every August.
Yeah, for sure. It was definitely a great event. Walked away with some money. I would definitely love to see it come again. And Eric and all them did a phenomenal job. It was really fun. So if it could come around every year and I could keep collecting that same amount or more and more, I'd be happy with that.
Raking it in, he says.
Too bad I don't really get much of it, but it's all right. I don't deserve it as much as my dad does. So
I hear you.
Well,
goes back in.
No.
Keep going, Pauly. I keep interrupting you, Paul.
Hopefully we keep seeing it more and more with more people and crazier prizes and more money. And a lot of wrecks.
A lot of wrecks, yeah. Connor, let's go to you. I know that you're kind of looking to go to cars sooner or later. If indeed you wrap up your karting career and move to car racing, are we going to see you back for one-offs like we saw Braden Eves here? Is this going to be a race that you say, I'm going to run this one every year anyways?
Yeah, no, definitely. This one would definitely be one of the ones I would name. Supernats, of course. But there's a ton. It was definitely one of the better events that America has put on, and the way that it was streamed and everything about it was just a ton of fun. The shootouts, the pill pick and the shootout for the heat race, everything about it just made it a fun event. It wasn't like a serious, like what Ryan said, it wasn't really like a serious, like you have to win this, or it was kind of just like a payday kind of race and go there, get some money, have fun, and then walk out with hopefully non-crash go-kart. I mean, a lot of people crash their go-karts this weekend racing for some money, but I was able to walk out with $2,000. I mean, it was at the lower end of these other three guys, but it's still plenty. I mean, when you're racing go-karts, you can't ask for much more. So I was definitely happy with how it went, and I'm looking forward to doing this race more often.
Well, Connor, Pauly, and Ryan, you guys are like obviously three of the big dogs in our sport. We go to Carson here right now. It's kind of the future. We're going to see him a number of years. I found it interesting, Carson, that Xander Clemens kind of dropped a little bit. That may be your final junior race at GoPro Motorplex. Are we going to see you move into the senior category pretty soon?
Yeah, I'm still 13 right now.
Okay.
But hopefully for Supernats, maybe we might go to senior. But Indy for sure junior.
There you go. So both you and Ryan getting the tickets to the international final for IAME USA. Are you going to head over to that event?
Yeah, we've got it a couple times already, but I really want to go this time.
Nice.
And see how we do, because it's the X30 motor, same tire, and I think we have a team maybe we possibly want to go to.
Nice. What about you, Ryan? You've won a lot of races. Is that one that you want to get back, get over to, and grab that trophy?
Yeah, I mean, we finished third the first time I went there, and so that's one of one of the wins that you want to have. But obviously, with COVID and everything, it's just traveling overseas is difficult, and I don't want to get stuck there for more than I need to be. And And the way that that race has been going is it's like practice was starting Monday when I was there. And then the year I missed it, I was talking to people and they said it started Sunday, and now it's Saturday the week before is when people are gearing up for it. And so obviously you've got to be there even a few days earlier than that. So you're talking about like almost a 2-week adventure trying to go for one race, and it's a long event. And so if we have the people and the capability of doing it, yeah, we'll go. But it's a lot. It's a lot of work. It's more than the Road Tax Grand Finals, the Rock. It's more than any other race. You have to really prep for that one.
David, anything else to wrap things up?
Yeah, last thing, victory celebrations. Two were prominent. Ryan Norberg, very, very normal. Something you typically see from Ryan. The one that kind of stood out was the Carson Morgan. It reminded, now these kids weren't even alive when I think Kyle Martin did something very similar to that, where you stand up in the cart seat as the cart is moving. Now you did it at the checkered flag, where I think Kyle Martin did it like during a cool down lap. Carson, what was the inspiration behind the celebration?
I don't even know. I just always thought about it, doing it, because it was a pretty sick thing I wanted to do. Because like coming into the pits one time when I was moving, I stood up and I was like, oh, that's sick. And then at Indy,
45 miles an hour.
The other guy's like, what are you doing?
So I was maybe going to do it Indy, and then I Road America. I was like, oh, maybe. But then I was just so happy about winning it. I just threw my hands up for that one. Okay. And then this one was like, oh, got the KA. That one was good. And then I literally wasn't even thinking about it. And I came on the last lap, and I was like, boom, I'm doing it. Here we go. Because it's hard to get up because my wheel is
you're going 45 mile an hour, dude.
Oh my God.
It was cool though. I'll give it to him.
Well, yeah, it was cool.
I mean, he did. I will say this: you didn't pull the Daniel Morad where you celebrated and then wrecked into a fence. So at least you kept it on the racetrack. So I will say congrats to that. We'll have to do a picture-in-picture with Kyle Martin's celebration and a photo of you. We'll have to share that so people kind of understand what we're talking about.
Gotcha.
Well, guys, listen, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to join us here. Tremendous weekends for all four of you. And obviously you guys got some great things going. You got great momentum going. We leave again, obviously Ryan's already at Newcastle. We head there soon for the final round of the SuperKarts USA Pro Tour, the Summer Nationals. Connor, Pauly, Ryan, and Carson, congrats again. And good luck next weekend, man. We'll see you in Newcastle.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you having us. Yeah.
Great guys right there. David will drop them off in the studio. David, man, that's probably the best star-studded lineup we've ever had on here. We're talking national champions, race winners, one-off winners, world champions with the Karting Academy for Connor as well. So awesome.
I was going to say, there was a lot of championships there between the six of us, right?
So, man, stack them up. Me and you with the big goose egg.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, nothing here.
Oh, fantastic.
Well, hopefully I'll change that this October. We'll see, though.
Yes. Right. Well, listen, guys, thank you so much for tuning into this edition of Face2Face. Great guys to have on. Mm-hmm. And again, David, they talked about the fact that they had fun. They still wanted to win. The pressure was there, but they had fun. And, man, you and I keep hammering on this. That's what the sport is about. It's about having fun. That's why we do it. Yeah, it's competition. It can get super serious. We have fun, man. Karting's just fun.
And I think it's getting more towards that especially since what we went through all of last year. I think we're seeing that because we were just happy to be at the racetrack last year. And I think it's kind of kept that momentum through 2021. And like you said, when you have events like this where people are pumping the fun part of the atmosphere, not the seriousness of everything. And again, just making things more relaxed and reminding everybody, hey, we're here to have a good time. But yes, we're here to beat each other on the racetrack.
That's it. So shout out to everybody. Eric Jones and everybody at IAME USA East are putting on the new Grand National Championship event. Obviously, huge feedback from people we've talked to. Just positive. Shout out to the four drivers that we had here today on their victories in the shootouts and, of course, the main events in KA and X30. Of course, Carson sweeping both. What a month it's been for him coming off that sweep at Road America at the USPKS. Otherwise, folks, we're done here for this edition of Face2Face. On behalf of David Cole, my name's Rob Howden. Book it.